Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitānaṁ pāvanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Dear devotees, will begin with a quote by Srila Prabhupada, and Keshav Prabhu, kindly read what Srila Prabhupada says.
There are many regulative principles in the Shastras and directions given by the spiritual master. These regulative principles should act as servants of the basic principle. That is, one should always remember Krishna and never forget him.
And this, dear devotees, is the central principle of all devotional literature, all devotional pursuits. We should remember Krishna and never forget him. And dear devotees, this is what Sri Rupa Goswami has also told us in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And this fundamental instruction in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu we have studied many times, but let us see once again. Please repeat after me. Smartavyah satatam Vishnu Vismartavyo na jatu che Sarve vidhi nishedhasyur Etayoreva kinkara. Vishnu satatam smartavya. Vishnu should always be remembered. And how should Vishnu be remembered, dear devotees? Favorably or unfavorably? Because the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu begins with Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyana. And what is the meaning of Anukulyana, dear devotees? Favorably. And that Anukulyana carries forward to the rest of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. In grammar, you have what is called Adhikar Sutra. Adhikar Sutra means a particular thing is spoken which extends its application to the entire text. So, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, when Sri Rupa Goswami says that favorable execution of bhakti should be done, so that favorability extends to the entirety of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So, Vishnu should always be remembered, and favorably is coming from the background. Favorably, and Vismartavyo na jatuchit. Jatuchit means kadachit. At any point of time, Vishnu should never be forgotten. Vishnu here basically refers to Śrī Krishna. So, sarve vidhi nishedhasyur etayor eva kinkara. All rules and regulations, all positive reinforcements are the servant of always remember Krishna. All negative reinforcements are the servant of never forget Śrī Krishna. A question is asked often, couldn't Sri Rupa Goswami would just have said always remember Krishna and finished it right there? What is the need of separately saying never forget Krishna? Isn't it enough, dear devotees, to say always remember Krishna? Yes. Why say never forget Krishna? Yes.
Sometimes things are said repeatedly to enough stress it enough.
Okay, to give enough stress, alright, that is one good reason, that things should be said repeatedly, to give enough stress. Then the stress should have been given only on the positive.
Yesterday you said about negatively also influencing things.
Okay, negatively also influencing. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, when we engage in Krishna consciousness, so also Maya Devi then tries to serve that devotee and provide some facility to enjoy material life. So that's the reason that it's emphasis that you are remembering Krishna. As a result, you will get some material enjoyment, but don't forget Krishna.
All right. Okay, that's a unique answer. But as soon as you remember Krishna, Maya Devi gets triggered. But all right, I can go along with that because all right. Vikram Keshri Prabhu.
Some repercussions if we forget.
Wonderful. So, dear devotees, Sri Jiva Goswami explains in the commentary. So I'll explain in modern terms what Sri Jiva Goswami has told in the commentary. For example, you go to a school and the teacher says to the students, tomorrow is annual day, the most important day of the entire year. Tomorrow everyone should remain present. Tomorrow no one should be absent. And you just say tomorrow everyone should remain present. Why do you say no one should remain absent? So the indication is that if you remain present tomorrow, all auspiciousness will come to you. And if you dare to remain absent tomorrow, all inauspiciousness will come to you. I hope you are able to understand. So similarly, to emphasize that by remembering Sri Krishna, all auspiciousness will come to you, and by forgetting Sri Krishna, to warn that all inauspiciousness might come. Therefore, the same clause is spoken in a positive manner and in a negative manner. I have highlighted a term there, dear devotees. Which term is highlighted there? Satatam. What does Satatam mean?
Always.
Always. Remember, so dear devotees, how many of us are able to fulfill this requirement of Sri Rupa Goswami? Please raise your hands. Or how many are able to remember Sri Krishna 24 hours a day, not even a single moment wasted, without...
Daily.
Yeah, he knows the cheat code. He knows the workaround. But dear devotees, how many are able to remember 24 hours a day without a single break? Is it possible? No, because 8 hours is sleeping, or 6 hours, at least, dear devotees. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifies what constant remembrance means. Please repeat after me. Satatam prati aham na tu pratikshanam tasya asadhyatvena. So satatam means prati aham, means regularly, every day. Doesn't mean every single moment. Why? Because tasya asadhyatvena, it is impossible for the practicing devotee to fulfill this requirement. So please tell me, dear devotees, how many of you are now following the requirement of Sri Rupa Goswami? How many are remembering at least once a day Krishna? Please. Oh, wonderful, Haribol. See how merciful Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is, He brought the verse within our reach, dear devotees. Yeah. So these are wonderful, explanations by our acharyas. And therefore, we should remember Krishna at least every day. Alright? I would like to add, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said every day, but I'd like to add something at least, not at most. I hope you, because people will remember only once every day and they will say, I am doing Satatam. But what is the intention of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is at least once a day, and then you can do more as and when you have the required time. Dear devotees, the term Smaranam comes from the Sanskrit verbal root smrit. Smri means adhyane. Smaranam means to remember, to recollect, to think of something. This is what the term Smaran refers to. And in this act of Smaran, in my practice of Krishna Bhakti, I have come across various doubts by various devotees who express these doubts from time to time. The first doubt is in front of us. Kirtan is the Yuga Dharma and there is no separate need for Smaran. Please raise your hands, all the Kirtan supporters. Please raise your hands. How many of you feel aligned with this thought? And don't hesitate to, disagree with Hari Parshadas. Yes, we believe in Kirtan. There is no separate need for Smaran. Please raise your hands. See, there are a few hands. Yeah. So it's a good assembly when there is a good challenge, dear devotees, and there should be some differences of opinion in the assembly, and which is very good. Kirtan is the Yuga Dharma, so there is no separate need for Smaran. Dear devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in Kali Yuga to inaugurate what? Kirtan. So, I told you when I first gave this seminar, one of the doubts was, why are you even having this seminar? Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to inaugurate Kirtan. And why are you having a seminar on Smaran? So that was one of the doubts, why even have a seminar on this topic? Because Smaran is only for those who are very, very advanced after 30 years of scrubbing yourself on the path of Shravan and Kirtan. Then maybe you should even think of Smaran. How many of you have come across this opinion? Please raise your hands. Yeah. Isn't it? So Don't jump too fast, all right? After 30 years, don't jump too fast. Or don't run too fast on the path. In fact, the Srimad Bhagavatam says one can run with one's eyes closed on the path. That is what the Srimad Bhagavatam says. But then often you hear opinions like, don't run too fast on the path, otherwise you will trip over. But the Srimad Bhagavatam says, even if you run fast with your eyes closed, there is no risk of slipping or tripping on this path. So sometimes some opinions have developed in the society of devotees. Another is you need to have purification of heart in order to engage in Smaran. How many of you have heard this opinion, devotees? Please raise your hand. This opinion comes from the previous acharyas. So there is, you need to have purification of heart in order to engage in Smaran. And this purification of heart happens only after prolonged practice of Kirtan. The second statement is not from the previous acharyas. Right? The first statement is, the second statement is not from the previous acharyas. That you need after 30 years of Kirtan, then maybe spontaneously Krishna will one day arrive in your mind with all his details. So, dear devotees, after facing all these opinions, for so many years, and after living through some of these opinions and then not getting anywhere, I decided to align myself with the path of the previous acharyas and what they are saying about this process. And this is what devotional life is all about. Devotional life is about unlearning what we have learnt incorrectly and again learning something which comes from the previous acharyas and what is authentic. And that is a very refreshing experience. Dear devotees, often the opinion is also given that Smaran should be done on the path of Raganuga Bhakti, not so much on the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, but it is a fact that Smaran is also very much a part of Vaidhi Bhakti, because there are 9 limbs of Vaidhi Bhakti. What are the 9 limbs? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. So Smaranam is the third one. And therefore Smaran should be a part of daily Vaidhi Bhakti. Dear devotees, please raise your hands. How many of you would like to perform Smaran as a daily part of your Vaidhi Bhakti? We can learn it today, dear devotees. And here is what the Hari Bhakti Vilas says about Smaran as a daily injunction. Please repeat after me. Brahme muhurta utthaya Krishna Krishneti Kirtayan Athechan Paramam Shuddhim Murdhni Dhyatva Guru Padau Stutva cha Kirtayan Krishnam Smaramschaitadudiraye Brahme Muhurta Utthaya. We should wake up at which time, dear devotees? Brahma Muhurta. And the first thing after waking up is to take a bath. Krishna Krishneti Kirtayan. What should one do? One should perform Kirtan. What Kirtan should one perform? Please repeat after me. Or you can sing with me. Krishna 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 He Krishna 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 He Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahima Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshama. This initial kirtan should be performed even before brushing your teeth or washing your face. This is what should be done early morning after we wake up. Dear devotees, nothing else is required. But I have not washed my face, I have not brushed my teeth, no problem. So dear devotees, this is the first activity that is to be done after waking up, because more important than external purity is to ensure internal purity, and internal purity happens only by utterance of Śrī-Krishna-smaraṇam. And then it says, Atha icchan paramam shuddhim. Now if you want the highest purification, then you should do something. Murdhni dhyatva guruho padav. Think of the Guru's lotus feet on your head at that point of time. think, dear devotees, which limb of bhakti are we performing now? Kirtan or Smaran? Smaran, dear devotees. Hare, we have already begun. In the early morning, even before we took a bath, that Sri Guru mercifully placed both his feet upon our head, and this is how we began our day. And then, Stutva cha kirtayan Krishnam, then after glorifying Krishna nicely, Smaramscha etad udirayet, then remembering Krishna, one should further utter something. Alright, we'll read the translation. Gaur Krishna Prabhu, kindly read the translation.
After waking in Brahma Muhurta and performing Kirtanam of Krishna Nam, then desiring the highest purification, one should meditate on the 2 feet of Guru placed on one's head. Then after glorifying Krishna, one should perform Smaran, remembrance of Krishna, and then utter the following verse.
Hare, but wasn't Smaran to be done after your heart is completely purified, 30 years of chanting Krishna Nam, and then you engage in Smaran, isn't it?
No.
No. Huh? The Hari Bhakti Vilas is telling us that we can perform Smaran right here, right now, every single day, even before taking a bath. This is Smaran not of Raganuga Bhakti, this is Smaran of which Bhakti, dear devotees? Vaidhi Bhakti. So Smaran can be performed as a limb of Vaidhi Bhakti, not just as a limb of Raganuga Bhakti, dear devotees. And which verse should one recite while after remembering Sri Guru? And then in order to facilitate remembrance of Sri Krishna, one should recite a particular verse. The Hari Bhakti Vilas recommends this verse. This is one of the final verses of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which summarizes Shri Krishna's pastimes in a single verse. Verse is in the meter Malini. I'll try to sing. Please repeat after me. Jayati Janani Vaso Devaki Janmavado Yadubara Parishad Svai Durbirasyanna Dharmam Sthirachara Vrijinagna Susmita Shri Mukhena Brajapura Vanitana Vardhayan Kamadevam. This is the verse that is supposed to be recited early morning. Believe it or not, Srila Prabhupada also, when he was training new devotees in the initial days, he gave this sequence of remembering this particular verse. In tomorrow's talk, I will specify what Srila Prabhupada said exactly on these lines. But today we will hear it from Hari Bhakti Vilas. So, Jayati Janani Vaso. That is Shri Krishna, who is Jananivas, who is the indwelling super soul of everyone. Jayati, he reigns supremely victorious. Devaki Janma Vado, then think about him taking birth from Devaki. Vado, some people have spread the rumor that he took birth from Devaki, but actually he took birth from whom? Sri Yashoda. Devaki Janma Vado. There is a vad going on, there is a rumor going on that he took birth from Devaki. What the verse actually means is, he is unborn. And some people say that he took birth from Devaki. But what we Gaudiya Vaishnava says, some people say he took birth from Devaki, but actually he took birth from Mother Yashoda. Yaduvara Parishad Svair, and the Yadus, the best of the Yadus are his associates, and in that assembly of Yadus, Svair Dorbhyam, using his 2 arms, Asyan Adharmam, he is destroying Adharma. Sthirachara Vrijinagna Susmita Shri Mukhena, then meditate on his smiling face, and by his smiling face he destroys the sins of all moving and non-moving entities. And the best thing is, Vrajapura Vanitanam, for the gopis of Vraja, Vardhayan Kama Deva, he increases amorous desires within their heart. This is the early morning meditation that has been given for everyone, all of us, including those who are performing Vaidhi Bhakti. Every single day this meditation should be done. Here is the translation, kindly read.
That Śrī Krishna, who is the indwelling supersoul and exclusive refuge of all individuals, who is unborn yet renowned as being born from Devaki, who has the mighty Yadus as his eternal associates, who vanquishes all irreligiosity by the might of his own arms, who causelessly destroys all the distress of the moving and non-moving entities, and who increases loving desires of the damsels of Braj by his beautiful smiling face, reigns supreme.
So this is early morning meditation on Sri Krishna. But dear devotees, weren't we supposed to have purification of heart before we engaged in Smaran? So where did that consideration go? It's very important to understand. Purification of heart is not a lengthy process which happens after 30 years of practice. Purification of heart is also immediate, and dear devotees, it is specified by the Acharya Sri Sanatana Goswami. Like say here, Sri Jiva Goswami specifies here, please repeat after me. Nama Smaranam Tu Shuddhantah Karanatam Apekshate. That Smaran of Nam or Smaran of any type expects purity of consciousness. And some devotees take this to mean 20 or 30 years of long practice, only after that is your consciousness fully purified. But the actual meaning is that through kirtan you can immediately purify your consciousness, and that was the reason why when you woke up in the morning, the first thing you did was not Smaran, the first thing you did was kirtan. And what was the kirtan? Krishna, 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 Krishna. So this is all that is required for early morning purification. You don't have to wait 30 years for that. Sri Sanatana Goswami says in the commentary, Purvam Krishna Krishneti tan nam ucharanam eva. Initially one should utter the name. Which names, dear devotees? Krishna, Krishna. Adhunatu Shuddhi Anantaram. Then after having attained purification, dear devotees, purification was attained immediately or after 30 years? Immediately. Says who? Sri Sanatana Goswami. So on the strength of his statement, you can very clearly identify thereafter having attained purification, one should specifically perform kirtan of the forms, pastimes by reciting important verses from the Bhagavatam. He says, Shri Bhagavat Adi Shloka Pathena, Rupa, Lila, Visheshana Kirtanam. And then he says, Tat Udiranam Eva Kirtana Smaranatmakam. Then remove the border between Kirtan and Smaran, and whatever pleases your heart, you engage in Kirtan and Smaran according to your choice. This is what he says. Please read the translation, Prabhu.
Initially, one should utter the names Krishna, Krishna. Then, after having attained purification, one should specifically perform kirtan of the form, pastimes, etc. by reciting important verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Reciting these names, forms, qualities, pastimes, etc. itself is kirtan as well as smaran.
So please tell me, dear devotees, are all of us eager to perform daily smaran?
Yes.
So please let us have one takeaway from this, that every single day we will ensure early morning purification by performing what? Kirtan. And is that purification, do you need prolonged kirtan or can you have purification by immediate kirtan? Immediate. And after that immediate purification, you can directly engage in something. What can you engage in? Smarana. That is Vaidhi Bhakti. As it is given by the previous acharyas. So please let us remove this misconception from the mind that Smaran comes after 30 years. Smaran on the path of Raganuga Bhakti in a very specific mood in relationship with Sri Krishna may take 15 or 20 or 30 years. But Smaran as a daily practice for the purification of the mind does not have to wait for 15 or 20 years. And therefore, every devotee should understand and practice this. Dear devotees, Smaran is for everyone. Sri Jiva Goswami says in the Bhakti Sandarbha, select your level of Smaran according to your level of advancement, and then you can very easily remember Sri Krishna according to the level of advancement that we are on. Smaran comes in 5 levels, not in one single level, dear devotees, and the 5 levels of Smaran are given by Sri Jiva Goswami in the Bhakti Sandarbha. The 5 levels are in front of us, dear devotees. I'll speak the first level. It is highlighted in red. Please repeat after me. Yat kinche anusandhanam smaranam. Level 1, dear devotees, we are just progressing on the path of bhakti. We may be new on the path of bhakti. We are sitting in some place. Yat kinchid anusandhanam, whatever easily comes to our mind without much effort. If we remember Krishna in that way, congratulations, you have attained level 1. And what is level 1 known as, dear devotees? Smaranam. Alright? So that is general. And this Smaranam may break immediately due to some distraction, some disturbance, no problem at all. You were supposed to be on level 1 and you fulfilled your duties on level 1. And please tell me again, what is level 1 known as? Smarana. Please remember the technical names because it will be very helpful. And then after some time you need to cultivate Smaran as a practice. And then Sri Jiva Goswami says, let's move ahead. Sarvatas Chittam Akrishya Samanya Karena Manodharanam Dharana. Level 2, dear devotees, is known as, please repeat after me, Dharana. So what is Dharana? Sarvatas Chittam Akrishya. You have some free time on a certain day. Sarvatas Chittam Akrishya. Pull your consciousness from all directions. Take some effort and pull your consciousness from all directions. Switch off the phone and have zero distractions. And Samanya Karena Manodharanam. In a general way, meditate on Sri Krishna's pastime, Sri Krishna's name, form, etc. And you give some dedicated amount of time without any distractions to that. Congratulations, you have attained the second level. What is the name of the second level? Dharana. So please tell me, isn't this a sort of practice? Isn't this sadhan bhakti? So just as we practice japa, also we have to practice some daily smaranam. That is very important. So that is dharana. Then you will become attached to the process. Gradually you will want to have specific choices in your remembrance. Then you will select a particular form, a particular name, a particular pastime, a particular associate. And when that happens, you will move to the third level automatically. Sri Jiva Goswami says, please repeat after me. Visheshato Rupadi Vichintanam Dhyanam. So Dhyan is level 3. Visheshato, specific meditation on form, pastimes, etc. Because now you've developed a taste for specific form, specific pastimes, etc. You won't ask the question, which form should I select? Which pastime should I select? If you are still asking those questions, you are on level 2, dear devotees. When you develop a spontaneous taste by your own, then you will select those forms and then you will go for this level of meditation, which includes previous levels but is more concentrated on specific forms. What is the name of level 3, dear devotees, once again? Dhyan. Then, dear devotees, after practice of Dhyan for some time, then it will start coming back to you naturally. And Sri Jiva Goswami says, Amrita Dharavat Avicchinnam Tadhruvanu Smriti. Amrita Dharavat, like a stream of condensed nectar, is never broken. Like a stream of condensed honey never breaks. Similarly, unbroken concentration, meditation upon specific form, pastimes, etc. when it happens naturally with us, it becomes known as Dhruva Anusmriti. Dhruva means fixed, Anu means repeated, Smriti means remembrance. Fixed, repeated, remembrance. Dhruva, Anu, Smriti. That is the meaning. And finally, dear devotees, the goal of life, or the goal of all Smaran, dear devotees, please repeat after me. Dhyaya Matra Spuranam Samadhiriti. So the final stage to be achieved is Samadhi. And Samadhi means when only the object of meditation remains in your mind and nothing else of the world disturbs you. Dear devotees, that is known as what? Samadhi. We have heard such a thing before. When a person truly experiences rasa, everything else in the world becomes detached from them, and they start fully identifying with that particular character on the stage. And their only sole focus is on the character on that stage, and everything else is forgotten. If that character is Śrī Krishna, dear devotees, rasa allows you to experience samadhi very easily. I hope you are able to understand. So samadhi means when everything else is forgotten, only the object of meditation, Śrī Krishna, remains in the mind, and rasa is the perfect via medium of experiencing that samadhi. So dear devotees, Śrī Krishna has placed the condition of death on which particular limb? Antakale cha mam eva japan kirtan khadan piban pashyan. No. Antakale cha mam eva smaran muktva kalevaram. And dear devotees, smaran is on how many levels? 5. Which one of these levels was Śrī Krishna speaking about when he was making that statement? Samadhi. Because some people are thinking, I'll casually remember Krishna at the moment of death. Somebody will pull out a photograph in front of me, and looking at the photograph, I will leave my body. And Krishna, I fulfilled the condition. Antakalecha,
Now you have to do the rest.
Yeah, it's your headache now, Krishna. I fulfilled my part. So that is not the case, dear devotees. The verse in the Bhagavad Gita says, Antakalecha mam eva. Eva means only Śrī Krishna should be remembered. Nobody else should be there in one's mind at that time. And that happens on which level? Does it happen on level 1 or level 5, dear devotees? 5. Level 5. So samadhi should be attained before one is able to perfect their life in relationship with Śrī Krishna. So that is very important for us to understand, dear devotees. There is always a tug of war between Smaran and Kirtan. Please raise your hands. How many? See, I am from the Smaran group. I am already taken sides. Alright, please raise your hands. How many of you are with me? Smaran is the best. Please raise your hands. Smaran is the best. Alright. So I have a few devotees with me, and I am going to support your argument, dear devotees. Alright. In the Brihad Bhagavatamritam, this statement is made, dear devotees, by the residents of Tapahaloka. Please repeat after me. Bhaktau navavidhayam cha mukhyam smaranam evahi tatsamagrendriya shrestha manovritti samarpanam. Bhaktau navavidhayam cha mukhyam smaranam evahi. Of the 9 kinds of devotional service, says Pipala and Muni, the best one is what, dear devotees? Smaranam. How many of you agree with Pipala and Muni? See, you disagree. So many disagree with Pipala and Muni.
Don't they go together? Smaranam and Kirtan?
See, this was another doubt. Huh? Don't they go together? Huh? I told you I didn't have an easy experience the first time I spoke. Somebody should have gone to Pipala and Muni and said, Pipala and Muni, don't they go together? It's he who is differentiating between Smaran and the other limbs. I am a parrot who is repeating his words, but it's a fact that he distinguished between Smaran, Kirtan and other limbs of Bhakti. And obviously there is some sort of a tension between the various limbs, because when I ask devotees, what do you prefer, Kirtan or Smaran? Devotees don't say it's the same. Devotees end up taking sides, isn't it? Huh? How many prefer Kirtan as the best limb of Bhakti? Please raise your hands once again.
Now we're confused.
Yeah, now they're confused. Now they're confused. But when I bring out the Kirtan verses, then they'll be more confident. So it's very important to understand that there is this tension between Smaran and Kirtan, and there must be. Otherwise, how will we have devotees take different sides and devotees glorify different processes? It's very important that there must be this dynamic tension between Smaran and Kirtan. And therefore, dear devotees, when Gopakumar ends up going to Vaikuntha, he meets with the opposite opinion, dear devotees. Now, before I specify the verse, here is your last chance. How many feel Kirtan is the best? Please raise your hands. See, there are few more confident individuals. So the residents of Vaikuntha end up saying the following to Gopakumar. Please repeat after me. मन्यामहे कीर्तनमेव सत्तमम् लोलात्मकैकस्वहृदि स्फुरत् स्मृते वाची स्वयुक्ते मनसि श्रुतौ तथा दिव्यत्पराङ्गप्युपकुर्वदात्म्यवत् मन्यामहे, we think. The residents of Vaikuntha say, we consider Kirtan Sat Tamam. Sat means good, Sat Tara means better, Sat Tama means the best of all the processes. And Lola Atmaka Ekasva Hridi Spurat Smrite. It is better than Smaran because Smaran appears only in one's fickle mind and heart. And Kirtan is easily possible on the tongue. How easy it is, dear devotees, to sing loudly Krishna, 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 Hare. Was your tongue flickering, dear devotees, like your mind flickers? No, no. So please tell me, what is greater, Smaran or Kirtan? We have the same Shastra where devotees are taking sides with Smaran and Kirtan. And it says, for Kirtanam harnesses not only the faculty of speech, which it engages directly, but also the mind and sense of hearing. So Kirtanam engages three senses: speech, ears, and ultimately the mind. And how many senses does Smaranam engage?
Mind.
Only the mind. And how many people does Smaranam engage? Only one. The person who is performing Smaranam. And how many people does Kirtanam engage?
Unlimited.
Unlimited. So which one is greater, dear devotees? Please raise your hands. How many of you feel Kirtanam is greater now? Oh, wonderful. You see? I am not going to give up easily, I told you. The same residents of Vaikuntha says Smaranam may also be better in some cases. So, may be better. Chedhyana vegad khalu chitta vritta antar bhavanti indriya vrittayasta sankirtana sparshana darshanadya dhyanam tada kirtanatostu varyam. So they say there is one situation in which Smaranam can become greater than Kirtanam. And which situation he says? If by the force of Smaranam one becomes so overwhelmed, all the senses become so overwhelmed that it overtakes even the faculty of speech and you are no longer able to perform Kirtan because of the force of your Smaran, then it is possible that you can say Smaranam is greater than Kirtanam. Not otherwise. So he says, if by the force of one's meditation all the functions of the senses, including speech and sankirtan or physical contact with Bhagavan, become absorbed in the function of mind, then that Smaran may be accepted as better than Kirtanam. Dear devotees, we saw 5 stages of Smaranam. Which stage is this speaking about when all the functions are taken over? Samadhi. Oh, so only in Samadhi you can say that Smaranam is greater than Kirtanam. So this, dear devotees, is the conclusion of the Vishnu Dutas. Finally, after so much tug of war, the Vishnu Dutas end up saying something. Now please, before they say something, I'd again like to ask, how many side with Kirtan? Please raise your hands. And how many with Smaran? How many are with me? Alright. Dear devotees, whatever you love is the best. Alright? That Pritiryato yasya sukham chayena samyak bhavet tad rasikasya tasya tat sadhanam shreshtatamam susevyam Sadhvirmatam pratyuta sadhya rupam. Pritir yato yasya. By that process by which you get priti. Whichever process you use is easiest for you to get prema. And sukham chayana. And that process which gives you sukha. What is sukha, dear devotees? Happiness. Whichever process gives you happiness. It's a democratic world. Select your process. Samyak bhavet tad rasikasya tasya. That rasika should take pleasure in that process. Tat sadhanam shreshtatamam. For that particular individual, that sadhan is the best. Shreshtatamam. Susevyam. They should serve that process. Sadbhirmatam. This is the opinion of all sadhus. Pratyuta sadhya rupam. And it is the best method to achieve their goal, dear devotees. So, Prabhu, can you kindly read?
Whatever the devotional method by which a person with true spiritual taste feels satisfaction and complete joy, that is the method saintly authorities deem most excellent and effective for them. It is not only the best of methods, but the very aim of their endeavor.
Ideally, we should pause at this Siddhanta. But even after this, there are some devotees who will say, but Prabhu. But I think Kirtan is still greater. The Vishnu Dutas have said, whatever you love is the best. But there are still devotees who will lobby for their respective limb of bhakti. And who will try to pull others into their limb of bhakti. Forcibly against their will. So I say sometimes in India, all masala is not garam masala, dear devotee. Alright? Very important to understand. That all masala is not garam masala and all forms of bhajan may not appeal to everyone. Please tell me, dear devotees, should everyone agree to one rasa or should devotees have different rasas when they eat food? What should? Different. So similarly, dear devotees, even in case of limbs of bhakti, you are allowed to make a free choice according to your particular desire. In tomorrow's presentation, I will show from the previous acharyas how they give you a free choice of selecting whichever limb of bhakti you wish to have for your advancement on the path. And that limb of bhakti should be communicated to the Guru and the Guru blessing should be sought from the Guru for executing that particular limb of bhakti. The Guru will in general say perform Shravan Kirtan, but besides that the devotee also has their freedom to select their specific limb of bhakti. In fact, both limbs should nourish each other. Dear devotees, please repeat. Sankirtana dhyana sukham vivardhate. Dhyanacha sankirtana madhuri sukham. Anyonya samvardhakatanubhuyate. Smabhistayostadvayamekαμevata. So you may be a lover of Sankirtan, so select Sankirtan first. But what is the aim of Sankirtan? Sankirtana dhyana sukham. By Sankirtan you will get the happiness of Smaranam. So Sankirtan increases your happiness of Smaran. And if you are from the opposite side, Dhyanacha Sankirtana Madhuri Sukham. Use your Smaran to engage in Kirtan, dear devotees. So either you use your Sankirtan to facilitate your Smaran or you use your Smaran to facilitate your Sankirtan. Let Sankirtan and Smaran be the yin and yang of your devotional life. You know what is yin and yang? So let it be your yin and yang of your devotional life so that both of them complement each other perfectly and that there is no disharmony and you never feel in your mind that right now I am performing Sankirtan, it is not my favorite limb of bhakti. Never feel like that in your heart. Or right now I am engaging in Smaran, that is not the most ideal limb of bhakti that I wish to do. Never think like this. Let both limbs complement each other. Here is the translation, Prabhu.
By Sankirtan, the joy of meditation grows, and by meditation, the sweet joy of Sankirtan. In our own experience, the two methods fortify one another and are therefore actually one.
So therefore they are actually one. But they are one, but at the same time they have their separate cultivation methodologies. So just because it is said here they are one doesn't mean that you erase Sankirtan and keep only Smaran, or doesn't mean that you erase Smaran and keep only Sankirtan. Both of them need to be kept distinctly, but at the same time they are one only in the sense that they nourish each other. In that sense they are one, dear devotees. Especially in Raganuga Bhakti, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says Smaran is going to take prominence. I spoke till now about Vaidhi Bhakti. For Raganuga Bhakti, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, please repeat after me. Smaranasya atra raganugayam mukhyatvam ragasya manodharmatva. Smaranasya raganugayam mukhyatvam. Smaran is the main limb in the practice of which bhakti, dear devotees? Raganuga Bhakti. Because Raganuga Bhakti, spontaneous attachment is a function of, primarily it is a function of the mind. Ragasya manodharmatvat. But don't use this statement to erase Sankirtan, because a few paragraphs later he will say something. Smaranasya kirtanadhinatvam avasyam vaktavyam eva. Such Smaran should always be understood as being dependent on Kirtan. And Kirtan should always be understood to be dependent on Smaran. If you remove any one of them, your practice of Raganuga Bhakti or Vaidhi Bhakti will be hampered severely. Therefore, let both of these remain as perfect complementary limbs of Bhakti on the path of your personal progress. Dear devotees, this was the first part of our presentation. I am sure there are many questions, but I am requesting one thing. Please do not come to any conclusions unless you have heard all three parts of the presentation. Alright, tomorrow we will be diving deeper into this particular subject matter, and day after tomorrow we will conclude this particular subject matter. Thank you very much. Yadatra skalitam kinchit vidvamsah purayantu tat yadatra saushtavam kinchit tad guroreva mening. If there are any mistakes in what I spoke, you are learned devotees, kindly correct any mistakes. But whatever was spoken correctly, it belongs to the Gurujanas, doesn't belong to me. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. God Premānanda. We already have a question from Jai Jagannath Prabhu. Only easy questions, Prabhu. All right?
You don't like challenges?
From Jai Jagannath Prabhu, I love challenges, but
It's not a challenging question at all. Just more of a seeking clarification.
Yeah.
I know when in the Bhakti Sandarbha, when Jiva Goswami introduces Smaranam, it's in the context of Vaidhi Bhakti.
Right.
And he gives us like a krama. Like first hear the name and the form Palis, then kirtan in the name form Namruguna Lila, and then Smaranam of the Namruguna Lila. I kind of want some clarification about that sequence that he mentions. And the reason is I've come in contact with a certain group of Vaishnavas who I guess make the claim that true Shravanam, in like the deepest sense of the Gaudiyas, produces simultaneously like aparuksha, which is like direct encounter. They quote verses from the Bhagavatam like Swasukana Vritta Cheta Stavyudistana Bhava. When Srukadeva Goswami was in the forest, he heard the shlokas of Bhagavatam and had direct encounter with divinity, and that pulled him out of his Brahman realization. So the claim is that true Shravanam really is more or less not different from pratyaksha of that reality. And then therefore true Kirtanam includes pratyaksha, true Smaranam includes pratyaksha. So then the claim goes, you can't really progress to the further angas of these practices unless there's like perception, which didn't make sense to me, because then I was like, how can you move in the process? So I wanted a clarification about Jiva Goswami's intent on that krama, and with this sort of thing in the background.
Alright, so there is a sequence of Smaranam, Nama Smaranam, Rupa Smaranam, Guna Smaranam, Lila Smaranam specified in the Bhakti Sandarbha. That is because it is the most natural sequence, and all other Smaran is dependent on Nam, because you need the name of the person upon whom you are meditating. Whose qualities? Krishna's quality. Krishna is the name. Whose form? Krishna's form. So in this way, Nam Smaranam or remembrance of the name of Krishna forms the basis of all other forms of Smaranam. But having known the name of Sri Krishna, you can either have Krama Baddha, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says according to Krama, or Krama Mukta. Sometimes you can also break the sequence. There is no hard and fast rule in that. Nam Namakari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smarane Nakal. There is not even time or any specific rule fixed for Smaran. And so even in the Bhakti Sandarbha, Sri Jiva Goswami will not put a stricture that this is the only way, otherwise you will have some negative reaction. He doesn't say like that at all in the Bhakti Sandarbha. So therefore, the recommended sequence of progress is Nam, Roop, Gun, Leela, and that is, it is indirectly indicated by the sequence that Sri Jiva Goswami has given. But he doesn't put a stricture on that this is the only way you have to progress, because Shastra will give other ways of progressing. That is, early morning wake up, perform kirtan, and then you can remember Leela or you can remember his forms. So that there are no hard and fast rules in this particular department. But if somebody is saying that Shravanam produces direct perception, Kirtanam produces direct perception happens at the stage of Samadhi, which Sri Shukdev Goswami was on. The verses that they are quoting for Sri Shukdev Goswami is because Sri Shukdev Goswami had already attained the stage of Brahma Samadhi. And all the verses did were to pull him from Brahma Samadhi into Bhagavad Samadhi. He was Jivan Mukta already. And for a Jivan Mukta, you can still change your inclination. And that is what happened with Sri Shukdev Goswami. That is what happened with the four Kumaras when they went to Vaikuntha. Their Brahma Samadhi, it transformed into Bhagavad Samadhi. So quoting those examples is not really applicable to those who are practitioners on this path, because practitioners will not be immediately able to have that sakshatkar, that direct vision. And that direct vision comes only after one has prema, because there are 14 stages of progress given by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Satam Kripa Mahat Seva Shraddha Guru Padashraya Bhajaneshu Spriha Bhaktir Anartha Pagamastata Nishtha Ruchir Atha Sakti Rathi Prema Atha Darshanam. Darshan is 13th, Prema is 12th. So you really don't get, you can quote that verse as an example, you don't really get to Sakshat Darshan. And in the Priti Sandarbha, Sri Jiva Goswami will differentiate between actual darshan and false perceptions that occur from time to time. So he will also distinguish between Sakshatkar and he will distinguish between Sakshatkar Abhas. Both things will be there in the Priti Sandarbha. So if you see that section of the Priti Sandarbha where Sakshatkar and Sakshatkar Abhas are defined, you will find the distinction. The key point being Sakshatkar truly happens after Prema. Sakshatkar Abhas may happen before Prema. And that you can quote straightforward from the Priti Sandarbha if those Vaishnavas believe in Sri Jiva Goswami. But I don't know which group that is. But I think that will solve your query. Alright, thank you so much.